Hey guys, this will just be a quick one on the second half of chapter 10, and now we're moving from simple into compound meter, still dealing with these lower subdivisions. So in the case of compound meter, um, in 6/8, for example, we'll have, like here, two big beats per measure, and usually we conduct this as one la li, two la li, and those la li's correspond to the eighth notes. And we've sang a couple of things like this, but now we're going to include breaking it down into 16th notes as well. And if you'll notice, each beat of 3/8 notes obviously breaks down into 6 16th notes. And then those are divided up in a variety of permutations here. So explore each of these and kind of try to get to know them. We can sing through a few of them together. And while we usually, as I say, we usually conduct, and if you're conducting, you should definitely conduct in two. Down, up, 1, 2, 1, 2, like this. However, when we're breaking down into 16ths, as we explored in the previous part of this chapter, it really helps to keep consistent 16th click track in our heads at all times. So that what I mean is that each 16th needs to get exactly the same amount of value. I'm looking for precision in the performances of these. And to help us with that, instead of putting a slow 2-beat click where we'll sing these within those, that's what we should work our way up to. However, when we're doing our metronome now, I'm going to set a tempo high to like 130, 128 here, and I'm going to set to 6/8. Although I don't mean the big 6/8. I mean now I'm going to get 6 fast 16th notes. And that'll help us even in 9/8 and 12/8. As we can see down here, in 9/8, there's a dotted quarter here, which would contain 6 16ths, a dotted quarter here, which would contain 6 16ths. And if we have that 16th click with a emphasis on each on the beat on each every 6 notes, that will help us, I think, get more even performance of these rhythms. So if we start here at the beginning, I'll set that metronome going. Let's hear it, and then I'll count us in, and we'll try this together. Try these beat subdivisions with me. Okay, so here's the metronome. 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, so you hear that? Here we go. 1 2. Ta 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 Okay. Good. Okay, so I hope you heard there. The 16th note click kept me very steady, and I noticed while I was doing it that each of these eighth notes gets 2. 1 2 2 2 ta 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 ta. Okay, and then this quarter note here, for example, would get how many? Well, it would get 4. It would get 4 16th notes. So you hear here 1 2 3 4 ta ta 1 2 3 4 ta ta. Okay, and here a dotted eighth is going to get 3, and then you have the 16th and the 8th note on its own. So you'll have 1 2 3 ta ta 1 2 3 ta ta, and here similar thing 1 2 3 ta 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 1 2 3 ta ta ta. Okay, so if you start counting, if you start getting used to those fast counts, that I think will help us keep very precise. And then as we get used to the shapes, ta 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 ta, whenever we see them, they'll just come out automatically. But do practice, if you can, with a fast 16th note click, and I think that will really help us. So let's just quickly try 1 in 9/8 and 1 in 12/8. And similarly to the previous part of the chapter, we'll have some ties and some weak syncopations. In this case, it's hiding beat 4, and actually some rests as well. So before we start, actually, I do want to mention one more thing, which is that the easiest way to read these, and something I really want you to exercise if you haven't practiced like this, is try to, try to recognize immediately where the beat is. And now remember that your beaming is your clue here. And the beams are, if they're done correctly, which they are going to reflect the beat. 12/8 has how many beats? Well, 12/8 is like 4/4. It's got 4 groups of, whereas 4/4 has 4 groups of 2, 12/8 has 4 groups of 3. So let's find them. Here's one group of 3/8 notes. Here's one group of 3/8 notes. That's the second beat. Here's the third beat, which has 3/8 notes divided up into 1/8 note and 4/16. And then here's the fourth beat, which has a dotted quarter. And so you really need to be able to recognize each beat. Beat 1, here beat 2 includes this rest, right? Beat 2 is hidden here by the rest, just like beat 4 is hidden here by the tie. And then here, beat 3, also hidden by the rest with 4/16. And then here's beat 4 with that familiar long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, which is so common in 6/8, 12/8, and 9/8. Good, so being able to recognize the beat immediately. 6/8 has 2 big beats per measure. Here's one, here's another. Yeah, okay, of course this is review, but I do want everyone to be on the same page about where is the beat. Let's look at a slightly more complicated one. Here's 9/8. This is obviously 1 beat, so this is a pickup, right? And this will be 2 beats, an incomplete measure at the end. Then here we have beat 1 and 2 contained in this dotted half note, tied to beat 3, which is then obscured by that tie, and then divided into 4/16. So once again, locating beat 1, beat 2, beat 3 is so necessary for being able to read these efficiently, because you can't really do what I suggested in the last video, which is to read ahead. You can't really do that unless you are reading these bigger groups as the thing that you're reading ahead as. If you think by reading ahead, I just mean when you're on this note, you're reading this note. No, I mean when you're on this group, you're reading ahead to what's going on over here. So that's, and maybe even here. So that's what I'm aiming for. Grouping and reading ahead. Okay, so let's try one in 9/8 and one in 12/8. Let's start with this one in 12/8. This one is a good one. I'm looking at 10.37, and we can stay at the same speed. I think that was a good pace. And let's slow down just a teeny bit. So I'll go from 128 to 124. How about that? Okay, let's hear that. 2, 3, 4. Okay, and next measure will come in 2, 3, 4. Ta 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 ta. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, I think I made one mistake. I think I made a mistake here. I think I did ta 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 ta, and I thought this was a 16th note rest. So be careful about that. I think that was an innocent mistake. Shall we try it again? Why not try it again? I think it's good to do it twice. 2, 3. Here we go. Ta 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 ta. Ta 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 ta. 4. Okay, that was that one. Good. So that I think we did correctly that time. Good. And so 2 chances is the charm. Now I want to say one more thing before we move on. I am bringing out, I'm accenting, if you will, every beginning of each beat, just to really show you what's going on here. So when I sing this, I do ta 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 ta. Okay, so this in a performance you would not want to do, right? If this were an actual melody, if this were actually a piece of music. You wouldn't want to exaggerate like that unless it was actually articulated as such in the score. But I just want to do this for practice, just to know and have that emphasis built into my brain. When I'm looking at each beat, I'm accenting the important markers of each beat. Ta, 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 ta. Okay, and here we want to do that, but it's hidden. Okay, so I almost accent this rest by giving it a little sniff. You know, ta, 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 ta. Okay, so I don't know if you could hear that, but basically just giving yourself an accent here is such an important part of the measure, but it's hidden. So that's a good one to practice. Try other ones in 12/8. One more in 9/8, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, here is a 9/8 one. Oh, I'm going to stay at 3 groups now of 16th notes. So let's listen to that. 2, 3, 1 more measure for nothing. 2, 3. Ta, 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 ta. Good. Okay. Wow, that was actually a really good one. I think that was right. Good. Okay. So before the end of this week, make sure you try a few of these. Try some of these with the dotted rhythms. I look forward to meeting with you guys, and I will have you sight sing some of these shortly. Good. Okay. Talk to you soon.